Despite soaring vaccination rates and easing restrictions, COVID protesters have turned out in their thousands, legally blocking Sydney streets.
Angry leaders, including families with children, also rallied in Melbourne, Brisbane, Hobart and Perth, claiming they're fighting for freedom.
They came demanding freedom, thousands filling city streets. Opposing COVID vaccinations and being told to inject them.
If you want to put something in my body, expect us to put something in yours. It's not your choice.
Stand with us, be on our side, it's coming, and it's going to be used.
Choosing between a jab or their job.
We're going to lose our job unless we are going to take the vaccination.
I'm not an anti-vaxxer, just anti this vax.
A protest full of kids.
How's your soda?
Demonstrators say that's who they're trying to protect. Whole families marched.
I think it's full of regular people, families that care about humanity.
It's nice to know that there's lots of other people that feel the same way and that we're staying together.
This was an authorised action and police massed in big numbers, a cavalry of mounted police. They cordoned off roads, turning traffic back, barriers of officers keeping protesters away from Pitt Street Mall and shoppers, some unimpressed.
We are not marching to Parliament. We are marching on Parliament.
We're going to take back our country! Take back our country! With political leaders their main target.
We need to have politicians that are honest, and we don't have that. They're destroying this country.
There were some political exceptions.
Trump never left. That's just the reality. He never left. He won the election.
Others, though, ready to lay blame.
And all the other premiers, and the Prime Minister included, are engaged in the abuse of Australians' human rights.
Church leaders, too, not spared.
Now they're mandating that the priests have to be vaccinated. What happened to dealing with the lepers and the sick?
Across New South Wales, 94.3% have had their first vaccine dose, 91.7% fully vaxxed.
A protest against the restrictions brought by the battle on COVID, just as they're starting to ease. But these demonstrators say they'll have a lasting impact on freedom.
Part of a nationwide movement today, protests in Melbourne on Bourke Street, lines of police keeping close watch, worried as a second opposing march kicked off.
Nazi scouts off our street.
This is Perth, thousands in the main shopping district. And in Brisbane, protesters attack restrictions as the Sunshine State prepares to reopen borders.
Angry at Victoria's proposed pandemic laws descended on Melbourne's CBD again yesterday in one of the biggest demonstrations seen this pandemic. It caps off a week of ugly pandemic politics and protests with no immediate end in sight.
For months, these streets lay empty as Melbourne became a city crippled by COVID lockdowns. That has lifted, but now it's demonstrations which are repeatedly bringing the CBD to a standstill.
Well, we're here to rally to see an end to vaccine mandates, forced vaccinations. But people need to wake up and stop calling us the bad ones when we're all here, thousands upon thousands, fighting for everyone's rights, not just ours.
Not one, but two different protests. The first fighting Victoria's vaccine mandate and proposed pandemic laws, which would transfer powers from the Chief Health Officer and place it in the hands of the government of the day.
We're here to fight for our rights, our future, everybody's rights, vaccinated or not.
The second, significantly smaller demonstration rallying against far-right movements. An enormous police presence and riot squads were ready to intervene if the two crowds clashed, but that didn't eventuate. Relief after an at times disturbing week.
Protest is fine so long as it's peaceful and respectful.
I would say very closely that people need to exercise restraint and decorum and act peacefully and safely.
This is the freest Melbourne has been since the start of the pandemic, but the latest easing of restrictions has done little to deter or distract from the ongoing demonstrations. Among them, Independent Upper House MP Catherine Cummings. She helped the government delay a vote on its proposed pandemic bill, avoiding an embarrassing loss and buying it time to negotiate with crossbenchers to shore up support needed to get the bill through Parliament. But it doesn't have the numbers just yet.
There is a that crossbenchers will go weak. I hope that they hold firm and actually ensure that we stop this bad piece of legislation.
Others, unsurprisingly, showing no signs of backing down.
Now, we've said all along we accept that they need some sort of powers for quarantine and things like this, but we've said we're absolutely not going to support this idea of, having a two-tiered society like what they've been talking about, especially when they don't even put an end date on it. So they've been saying, well, it'll go through for most of 2022, for example. We just think that's totally unacceptable. People need certainty to be able to plan their lives.
It is a race against the clock. The existing state of emergency powers expire in mid-December and can't be extended. The government has just one sitting week left to get the laws through, or it will be left without a legal framework to enforce COVID rules. Andrea Crothers, Sky News, Melbourne.